I gotta wind it up. Okay, so, question for the reluctant. Why not do it? In whose interest is it that our cars not be flex fueled? In whose interest is it that we don't have fuel choice? Only the oil cartel. What can you do? There's a bill. It's going to be introduced into the Senate. It's supported by Maria Cantwell of Washington State, Senator Brownback of Kansas, the liberal Democrat, conservative Republican. There's others supporting it. Thune, Lieberman, Landrieu, Collins, Grassley. Okay. You should get on the case of your senators here in Arizona and ask them to become co-sponsors of this as well. It's called the Open Fuel Standards Act. After all, why should we be in the thrall of the oil cartel? So, to conclude, we have a choice of two futures. One fueled by petroleum, the other fueled by alcohol. What's the difference? Petroleum is fuel that you find, alcohol is fuel that you make, that you create. So economies fueled by natural resources do not need to develop their human potential because they take their wealth from the ground. The economies fueled by things that are manufactured need to develop the creativity of their population. So they need education, they need freedom, okay? Because they need creativity to create wealth. And the question is, which of these sorts of economies are going to lead the world? Which of these systems of government, which of these futures are going to lead the world? That is the choice before us. This is what we need to take on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and I think we'll have all questions at the end of the discussion this morning. Our next speaker is Dr. Matthew Frazier from Arizona State University in the School of Sustainability. Dr. Frazier is well known for his research in areas of aerospace. He's been involved in teaching energy and materials use and sustainability at ASU for a number of years, and as I'm proud to say, he's also a fellow chemical engineer, so I'm in good company this morning, and he will be talking about really the really groundbreaking initiatives at ASU in sustainability. ASU is one of the few schools that really spotted this issue first.
Thank you, Glenn. I get the difficult task of following someone with so much energy and passion for it. I hope I can bring that same level of enthusiasm from what I'm going to talk about, which is what we're doing at Arizona State up in Tempe, Arizona. I'm going to talk about an overview of our sustainability initiatives. I am going to focus on global energy and some of the things that we're doing at ASU regarding global energy. I don't probably need to preach to the choir here about why we're concerned about sustainability. I mean, we talk a lot about energy, we talk a lot about the environment, we talk a lot about the economy, and we talk a lot about the impacts on society. We have to look at all three of these components at once. We just can't talk about the environment or the economy or how it affects society. We have to view it from a variety of different angles. And because of that, we need to simultaneously teach students and research from a variety of disciplines. We can't simply be focused on the engineering associated with energy supply, not worry about the environment or how that affects the economy or what role energy has in societal development. Because, again, there are billions of people who lack energy, and that has a big impact on their lives. So we have to think about the impacts of things like energy in society. So because of that, we are initiating a sustainability program at Arizona State, which is doing a variety of things. I'll talk about each of those things. But I also want to stress that universities have a unique role in here. In that, through knowledge creation, through research, through teaching the next generation of students. And as a resource, universities have a unique opportunity to do sustainability as I think it should be done. We can talk about a variety of bold sustainability challenges. Obviously, energy and energy independence, which I have listed here, is one of them. But as is climate change, and also water supplies. I will argue that water, energy, and climate are all interrelated. And you can't simply talk about one without considering the others. But as is sustainable economic development, we can't simply shut down the economy to prevent environmental degradation. That's just not a feasible solution to our problem. So solving these problems is going to require the perspective from a variety of different disciplines, and that's what we're doing at ASU. The Global Institute of Sustainability was established to advance interdisciplinary research, education, and outreach on environmental, economic, and social sustainability. We're specifically focusing on urban areas, and I'll tell you why that is in just a few minutes. But again, we bring together a variety of different disciplines to develop solutions to real-world problems. We are a very problem-oriented organization at ASU. We do a variety of different things. We have a School of Sustainability, which is teaching students, undergraduate and graduate students, in sustainability. We have a strong research program. That's my area of responsibility, is the research ongoing at ASU. Decision making is another important part of reaching sustainable solutions. A lot of the solutions might be hindered by policy solutions, and so we have an organization focusing on effective decision making, and that's the decision theater I'm not really going to talk about today. We also have a strong focus on university operations. We are very focused on making ASU a more sustainable campus, and then we do a lot of outreach, and I'll talk a little bit about those. But because the themes are so broad, I'm not going to talk about teaching, although we do have undergraduate and graduate programs in sustainability. I do want to talk about research. We quickly recognize that sustainability is so broad that a lot of people on campus can be considered to be doing sustainability research, because it does touch every aspect of our society and the environment and the economy. But as far as our organization, we are focusing on a number of different things, including rapid urbanization. I'll explain why we have a focus on rapid urbanization. Renewable energy. This expo is all about energy, and so I'll talk a little bit about our research on energy. I'm not really going to talk about ecosystems all that much, though we do have a big program in biodiversity and ecosystem preservation from that aspect. So why are we focused on urban areas? I think we're in a unique time right now. We just recently, as a global community, became an urban society. Prior to 2007, there were more people living in rural areas than in urban areas. We are now an urban society. People are continuing to move to urban areas. This happened in the United States with industrialization, back in the 30s and 40s and 50s. It's being repeated around the world. If you look at China every year is building urban infrastructure for 10 million people. That's more than the population in New York City. Every year they're building that level of infrastructure. And so focusing on how you can build urban centers to make them more sustainable, I think, is a great challenge at this point in our history. As far as urbanization, we have a number of different research projects. I might just go through these quickly. One of our capstone projects is the Central Arizona Phoenix Long-Term Ecological Research Project. People might say, why are you worried about ecological research in an urban setting? And I would say that the reason for that is that the ecology of an urban setting is what affects most people. Most people in the United States, 80% of people in the United States live in urban areas. And so the ecology and the ecological function of an urban area is important to understand, because this is how people relate to ecology, the ecology going on around them. But it's also important because the ecological function has a big impact on society. How the environment functions and works in an urban setting has a direct impact on a lot of the lives of the people in the urban setting. We also have a lot of work in renewable energy. I'll talk a little bit about solar in a little bit later, but I also want to point out that we have an active bacterial-based biofuels program. This is an idea that instead of using algae, there are a lot of people focusing on algae. We are focusing specifically on photosynthetic bacteria, cyanobacteria. These are bacteria that you can grow in high concentrations of CO2, for example, in the flue gas from a coal-fired power plant. They're photosynthetic, so they take energy from the sun. They convert CO2 into biomass. You can harvest that biomass. The bacteria that we're using have about a 50% lipid content. 50% lipids means you can take 50% of the mass and you can make a liquid fuel out of that. The remaining biomass you can use for cattle feed or something like that. So that's one thing that we're focusing on. I'll talk a little bit about our solar program in just a minute. But I do want to stress that ASU has a very broad and very long-established solar program. Everything from fundamental materials to how you put those into integrated systems, to how you link those integrated systems into your electrical distribution network, and then how you put those on buildings.